Hi, everyone. Welcome to another super exciting workshop today. Today we'll be hearing from the Orderly Network, who's going to talk us through creating dApps using the Orderly SDK. So I'm inviting Slava to the stage now, who will go through all of this with you guys. As usual, please pop any questions that you have in the questions tab. It's right next to the little chat box, just so that they don't get lost in the chat. Hi, Slava, how are you?
Hey, Clara, doing great. Hey, everyone.
Please let us know as well in the chat, like if you already have an idea of what you're building. We'd love to hear your kind of ideation. And yeah, just let us know what you think throughout. But other than that, I don't have more to share, so I'm just going to hand over to you and enjoy, everyone.
Perfect. Hey, everyone, thanks for being here. Today, we're going to go over Orderly Network and what it is. And then I'm going to share with you guys a quick boilerplate of kind of a sample dApp that you can build on Orderly Network, and then kind of use that as a get started guide to whatever you're doing, whatever you're hacking during this hackathon and in the future as well. So let's see. All right. Can you see the screen well? Is that zoomed in enough?
Yes, that's fine.
Perfect. So what is Orderly Network? Orderly Network is an omni-chain trading infrastructure that I like. The analogy I like to give, it's essentially DEX as a service or liquidity as a service, right? Where we're providing that order book and everything kind of in the back end of a DEX, of an order book DEX, to the users, to the developers, to where they can leverage our order book, our technology, to not have to do any of the back end work themselves. We're providing the liquidity, we're providing the order book, we're providing the matching engine. So we're putting the power back, giving the power back to the developers to focus on what really matters in the Web3 space, and that's user experience, and that's growth, right? So to attract their own audience, so that every one of the developers can cater that front end to whichever audience I'd like, right? So they either target sophisticated traders, they're targeting simplistic users who are just getting into DeFi, or whatever it may be, right? And also by doing that, we're kind of eliminating the fragmentation of liquidity across different apps, different chains, right? So our order book is omni-chain. What that means is doesn't matter what chain you trade from. All the trades ultimately are going into the same order book, and they get settled within the same order book. So trader from, let's say, Optimism is going to be trading against the same person on Arbitrum. And same analogy goes for front ends. So we have a lot of different dApps built on top of Orderly. And all of their users are ultimately going into the same order book and taking the same liquidity, which means that as we build more dApps, the network effect grows larger and larger, and that improves liquidity by a huge margin, right? So if you have, let's say, Uniswap and SushiSwap, where it's two separate dApps and they need two separate liquidity sources, and users are choosing one or the other based on how much liquidity there is, most likely, we in that case eliminating. So imagine Uniswap and SushiSwap are using the same liquidity pool, right? So it's the same analogy, but for order book and for perpetual future trading. So what's kind of our vision and mission, right? So the vision is kind of the building that foundational backend for permissionless kind of Web3 trading. We're starting off as a perpetual futures, and then we're going to be moving to spot and other assets, right? So whatever you want to trade on Web3, we want to be able to make it happen as easy as possible. So we're becoming the ultimate kind of the trading Lego within the ecosystem, where any app, any developer, whatever use case can access that service, that backend, and kind of plug it into wherever you are, whatever you currently have. So what are the kind of problems, right, in the Web3 space? So there's a huge kind of usability dilemma where the user experience is just not great, where you have slower speeds, you have huge latency, right? Where you submit an order, you have to wait for a few seconds for it to execute, or maybe even more. And then you have to pay for the gas fee, which is not great. We've all seen what happens, right? Where before the 4844 upgrade, it was double digit gas fee, even on L2s. But even now, like Base is facing some issues, right? So the usability dilemma is always going to be there, or how to make the user experience better. There's also the C5 transparency gap, where centralized exchanges are not transparent. Look at KuCoin, what happened there, right? So there are a lot of rumors of insolvency. Look what happened to FTX. We don't know if the exchange is insolvent or not because they custody the funds. And then also some of the AMM limitations. So AMM, like Uniswap and SushiSwap, they lack limit order functions. They're not as capital efficient. The slippage you run to is higher, right? So you run into like 0.5% slippage sometimes, and then you're also running into impermanent loss if you're an LP liquidity provider. So those are just like a few issues. And so what we're doing is we're kind of uncovering and solving those issues. So by moving from an AMM to an order book model, we're able to really execute higher volume. We're able to cater to more sophisticated traders with just more sophisticated strategies and higher volumes, right? So, and then liquidity, right? Because we're an order book DEX, we have professional market makers that are providing the liquidity. Thus, the performance is much higher, and the spreads are much tighter. So you're only running into like few basis points, which is just like a decimal of a percentage into of spread on your order, so you're not running into those huge slippage issues, and where you also don't need to sign for every single order with your wallet. And it's also omni-chain. As I mentioned earlier, we are chain agnostic. So those are kind of like the few features. We do have quite the ecosystem built out already. This slide hasn't been updated in a little bit, but this is just some of the example apps that are on top of Orderly, right? So we have some of the AMM dexes that moved and created their own kind of the order book dexes, as you can see here. Then we have some centralized exchanges that are moving and creating dexes as well, based on our platform. And this is a quick overview of how it works. So we'll kind of go through the top, where we kind of have that application layer, application / kind of presentation layer, where all of the front ends reside. And then we have this kind of layer where all of the assets reside. So I like to call it the asset layer. So when you deposit on Optimism, your funds stay on Optimism, and then you trade and go directly through kind of our execution layer, I'd like to call it, where our order book is actually off chain. So once the order is executed off chain, we then settle the order on chain. We have our own L2 running to use as kind of like the ledger of all the transaction of the user balances. And then we have the market makers that are tapping directly into there as well. So that's just kind of a quick overview. I'll pause here and see any questions that someone might have just on this before I kind of dive into code.
I think for right now, it seems like everything is quite clear. The only thing someone has asked is whether you can share the PowerPoint, like maybe after the session is over, we could upload it alongside the recording.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll share everything that I'm sharing with you guys today with everyone after the hackathon is over, for sure.
Cool. And now a question just came in asking whether L2 chain uses CK for computations.
So our L2 network does not use ZK. We're using OP stack. So we're an OP stack based chain.
Cool. And the coolest G, I like the name, now asks, the Omnichain Guardian layer, is this expected to expand further in the future to more chains?
Correct. Yep. So we can deploy to any EVM chain within minutes, right? So it's we build that infrastructure to where we can go anywhere we want to. So it's just a matter of when. So we are expecting to expand to pretty much all of the major EVM chains. So quite exciting.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions for now. And then I guess people can just keep popping the questions in as you kind of go deeper into it.
Perfect. Let me reshare my screen. I'll open my IDE so everyone can see it. Give me just 1 second. All right, and there we go. So this is the example dApp that we have at Orderly. It's kind of give you a quick boilerplate. So before we kind of dive into it, I want to show you what it looks like. So let me actually deploy it on my local host. And then, so we'll do yarn for all the dependencies.
Is it possible for you to zoom in just slightly so that we can see a little bit clearer?
Let's see if I can do that. Maybe, no. If I can do this, and then I can do this. Does that kind of show a little bit closer?
Not really. Could you do like a Command plus or something maybe?
Let's see.
There we go. So that's closer now.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
So it's installed all dependencies. So now I'm going to run yarn dev. Oh, wrong. Interesting. Did I do it right? I did do it right. Let's see. We already do have it deployed though. Not to worry. It's always the dependency issue. So I will share with you guys the link right now to the GitHub repo, so you can follow along, and then you can just do the git clone, and you will be able to see it. So here we go, examples. And that is the example implementation. So I will go into it now, where there's a lot of things to kind of uncover. So I'll start from the very beginning, from the account, right? So we had Orderly. You first have to connect your wallet. So this is, we are using the Hooks SDK. You can download npm, install Orderly Network Hooks, and that will give you a React Hooks SDK. So it essentially covers all the core functionalities and provides you React hooks so you can get up and running. So first we start with the account, where we create the account object. We're then using the effect to kind of within Ethereum. So we're already providing the wallet connect within the React itself. And then this is just a quick front end render where we have the account ID, address, user ID. And as soon as the wallet is connected, we are then creating the account. So we have we do have the button of creating an account. So once the wallet is connected, you click on the button, you create the account, and in the backend, that sends an API request to register an account with that specific wallet. And then we have a button right here that creates an orderly key. Orderly key, it's just like the wallet private key, but we are using this as essentially a session key, to where users don't have to sign with their wallet every single time. You sign with your wallet once when you're creating this orderly key, and then it signs on behalf of you because it's stored in local browser storage. So not to worry. And then it has, you're passing the number right here. This 30 means that it has a 30-day expiration. So once you actually clear the browser local storage, that orderly key is going to clear, and the SDK essentially is going to recreate the orderly key for you. So there is a lot of the local state, like local browser storage management within the SDK itself that you can use. So that's on the account side. On the app side, we have a quick window where we just essentially just set up a few tabs, right? We have that account tab that I just walked through. We have all the assets. So for stuff like your deposit withdrawals, displaying the order book, creating the order, seeing all of your pending orders, seeing all of your positions, open positions, and seeing all the trades. So that's it. So now moving on to the assets tab. With the assets tab, we have a couple things related to the asset itself. So we have the account object right here. So where we're using the account, we're using the collateral, and we're using the chains because we have to set which chain that we're on. This currently is hard coded at the moment for Arbitrum testnet. And then we are using the deposit. So first is we are setting the amount where the tab is. Let's see. So we're displaying wallet balance, deposit balance, and settled balance, all of it, which is right here. And then we have it right here where we have the USDC amount, and then we input it into the text field of how much we want to deposit. And then you run it through the set amount function. And then set amount functions just normalizes the number for you to make sure that the amount provided is correct within the right decimal points, because USDC uses 6 decimal points. So the SDK is going to make sure that you're not running into any issues there. And then you have a button for sending the quantity, and then you are waiting the deposit. So after you click the deposit, you are approving that deposit. You are essentially setting the allowance within your wallet, and then it's waiting for approval, and then it actually sets it and sends the deposit, where you're calling that deposit function. Let's see, and then here is the faucet. So we have a button for the faucet where you are kind of going in, you clicking a button, request, so minting 1000 USDC. Then it sends the request to our API endpoint with a header. And then the body is as follows. So you're providing the address, you're providing the chain ID and the broker ID. The broker ID can be anything, but we're just using one of our brokers, WooFi Pro, as a placeholder. And here it's settling P&L. It is a lot to get into. So I'd say read up on the documentation of what settling P&L does. Quick summary is when you are opening up a perpetual futures position, it doesn't actually open an asset position, so a USDC position. It's there as a placeholder. But then in order for you to get the USDC in your position equal, you have to settle P&L, and essentially transfers your position into the USDC equivalent. That's what settling does essentially. So there's the quick overview on the asset side. There's a lot to get into. Not a lot of time to get into it. So here we have the create order. I think that's kind of the biggest part here. Is let's go through all these buttons and all the functions. So on submit is essentially just submitting the order in the use order entry hook. And then here we're providing which market, which side we want to use. And then we are formatting the order. So on form submit, we're just formatting the data, the entries and stuff like that. And then so here we have all these buttons, right? So first is we have that create order. With a create order, we need a few parameters in order to submit it. So one, we need the price. We need the amount. Either one or the other is required. It all depends on the order type. So if you are placing a market order, you're only providing the amount of ETH. And then if you are placing a limit order, then you're providing the amount and the price at which you want to execute that amount of ETH, either buy or sell, right? So here we're just using ETH as an example. So it's hard-coded. And then with the order type, as I mentioned, it's limit market. That's only the two order types. There are a lot more. There's take profit, stop loss, stop order, post-only order, a lot more to get into. So here's the side, right? So we have the buy, we have the sell side, and hard-coded per USDC market. And then you have just submit button. So once you click the submit, you have all these fields. It then actually submits that order for you, where you then go and you do on submit, and then you pass it on to the form value. So you on form submit, you're formatting the data, you're formatting the value, the entries, and then you're actually sending all that data into this function. And then there's a lot more. There's this simple order book display. That's just the CSS. There's the price, quantity, total of just simply displaying the order book. So you are fetching using the use order book stream out of it. So you're loading the data. And the is loading is just a temporary placeholder. So to make sure you don't display like null or display errors in the front end. So it just catches the exception, whether it's loading or not. So if it's still loading, then you're loading just empty screen. And then if it's not loading, then you just display the order book of essentially what you got in. Level 10 means that you got 10 levels within that order book. And then there's just a quick background where you have the bids, you have the asks, and then you clearly display that. Orders, where you have your pending orders, right? So you have all the canceled orders and pending orders where you have created, price, quantity, type, site, status, and actions as well. And you are just fetching from the cancel order. So we then have the open positions. So that's that open positions essentially just has what orders have already been fulfilled and turned into position, where you're using that use position stream order book, and then you do created, average price, quantity, notional, unrealized P&L, and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of quickly running through that to get you guys up to speed. Not too much time remaining, so trying to get through all of this. So majority, as you can see, of functions are already covered within this kind of the boilerplate and within the SDK. So it's very simple. There's a hook for every single thing that you want. And then we also do provide the UI components as well for you to use. So with that, right, so someone said that everything is already built. Pretty much, right? So we want to try to make it as easy as possible for developers, for users to build their own front end. With that, right, we emphasize for the hackathons creativity, right? So we don't want to see just another DEX, another front end built using the SDK. We want to see some creative examples, right? So the stuff that I haven't seen before is like the stuff that I have seen before is something like a Telegram trading bot. Where I've only seen like one person have done that before during the hackathon. Super creative, right, and super useful. So something where you can do on the fly, send a quick message, I want to open this position, and then it sends it in the background. Or you have other creative examples. Just think of something great. Just surprise us, really, because we already do have some of these things built out. And then I do want to uncover some of the docs as well, so you guys don't get lost in the process while you're learning about us. So let me change my screen that I'm sharing. So there we go. This is the page that I just shared the screen for. So as you can see, the account, the assets, the order book, creating the order, actual order, and positions. So those are just a quick few things. And going into the SDK documentation. So this is all of our hooks documentation, what I just went over of how to use and simple code for all the rest of the stuff. And then also using we do have another SDK, which is the component SDK. So you have actual visualized components like the picture. So all of this is provided. If you go into the theme, here's all we have for you to use. And that's what a lot of our developers and a lot of the projects that deploy on us use, where you just plug and play as a Lego, put that into your dApp, render the full page, and can get it up and running within a couple of days. So here, if you render the full trading page, it's literally going to be just like this, and it's both mobile and desktop. So you're gonna have literally the full dApp built. All you need is just import the trading page from Orderly Network React, and you will have the full functioning app running. So as you can see, a lot of cool use cases. We provide and do a lot of the heavy lifting. So building and deploying this is really, really easy. So that's why I really, really emphasize Don't want to see another just simple dApp like this because we already provide all of this. Want to see something really, really creative and a real use case that's going to be really, really useful for the community. So I think we are running out of time here. So I'll leave the floor to any of the open questions. Let's see.
I think there are some questions in the questions tab, at least one that I can see now. So you might want to just start there, and then we can let people kind of write some more as you answer that one.
Cool. So let's start with first is, does Orderly Network offer SDKs or development tools that facilitate integration with third-party services such as M-Pesa? Is there developer support available for troubleshooting SDK-related issues or ensuring compatibility with M-Pesa systems, transaction handling, and confirmation? Yes, I will be providing the developer support services myself. So reach out on Discord. I am tagged as an Orderly team member. There is also a chat. I'm sure Clara can tag that as well. So I'll be active. I'll be checking it constantly. And then M-Pesa, let me look at what it actually is. Looks like it is it is kind of a money exchange, which I'm not very familiar with. Looks like kind of a fiat on-ramp possibly. So we don't have anything built for that. But I'm sure we can work around it somewhere depending on your use case. So please talk to me, tag me in that Discord chat. Happy to chat about that. Let's see. Do you still work on the near version? Yes, we do. So our near version is still up and running. Solana is possibly coming. So stay out for that. So we are looking to integrate non-EVM chains. Don't think it's coming in like the immediate futures, but it's definitely on the horizon. It's definitely on the roadmap. Does the L2 chain? Oh, already saw that question. If the L2 chains use ZK, it is an OP stack based chain. Someone asked, I mentioned use cases. Can I give examples of expected use cases and the type of project that we are expecting? So as I mentioned, use cases can be anything, right? I want to see something creative, not just a simple front end, because we already provide that and we already seen a lot of that. So give us something like, happy to see like a Telegram trading bot, right? Or where you leverage this within another context, where you may be running like a funding fee arbitrage, where you're opening a position on Orderly, opening a position somewhere else, and you're funding and you're farming those funding fees essentially. And whatever else you can think of, honestly, the sky's the limit here, right? Because we already do all the heavy lifting, and up and running is quite simple from then on out. You just fork the repo, include your own custom logic, and that's pretty much it. Someone said, does the Near protocol app qualify for the hackathon bounty? So for this specific one, we are only looking on the EVM version at the moment. Also, another cool use case with this is if you guys are looking to contribute and add a function to the SDK that you think is going to be very useful. We're very open to that as well, right? I think that's a great example of where you add certain functionality that we haven't seen before, or that's not currently in the SDK, right? So I think that's a big part of it as well, of you just contributing and kind of growing that example and kind of the usage of Orderly. So someone asked, can you elaborate on the process for handling security incidents or breaches on Orderly? What measures are in place to quickly detect and respond to security threats? Great question. So we get asked that all the time, right? With hacks that we've seen recently, just yesterday for 62 million, right? So we take the security very, very seriously. We've been through 6 audits, I believe by now, 5 or 6. So a lot of audits. And we do have a system in place where we are working on actually AI detection to where we can detect the threat, those zero-day exploits before they actually happen, or as soon as they happen, within literally seconds, within milliseconds, to where we can essentially just stop the contracts or stop it at the core of wherever that vulnerability is. So there, we are partnering with a project or a couple of projects to be able to do that. So someone asked, how does it work with compliance, with regulatory standards, and KYC AML requirements for user verification? So great question. So we in the backend don't actually do any KYC AML. That is because we are kind of the infrastructure and we're providing those services to projects. So the projects that are hosting on top of us are the ones that are onboarding the users directly. So it is left up to those front ends to actually do all that KYC and AML compliance. And this is a decentralized protocol, right? So this is an on-chain protocol to where we do run some of the compliance things in the back end to where we check, right? So we obviously don't allow any of the USDC blacklisted addresses and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it's up to the front end, to the projects to that ultimately onboard those users to the front end. Let's see. I think no more questions.
I think there was one question in the chat that might have kind of gotten lost in all the comments, but Daniel asked whether CEXs or are CEXs types of apps the more common use case on Orderly?
Centralized exchange types of apps. For the centralized exchanges, all they do is really just deploy these decentralized exchanges, just like I mentioned. So that's the only use case that they see for centralized exchange specifically. But if you're talking about more broadly of just general use cases, I think this is the most common one. But we've seen stuff like the Telegram trading bot, like Unibot, like I mentioned. There are a couple of other things that I'm happy to share. I'll actually just drop it in the Discord of kind of the example ideas that I've had of kind of like the cool things to build with Orderly. So be on the lookout in the Discord server for those things. I'll drop a couple of ideas there.
Awesome. I think that is all the questions that I could see now. If anyone has any final ones, then please let us know now in the chat. But yeah, as you might have seen in the chat as well, I did put the link to the Discord zone dedicated to Orderly. And please just tag the Orderly Network team. And Slava has been assigned that role, so he'll be able to chat to you guys more there. And as usual, if you guys have any questions, you can always contact me as well, and I will point you in the right direction. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, for tuning in, and for your questions and enthusiasm. And thank you, of course, Slava. You did a great job. It was very engaging, and yeah, great to have you.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, Clara. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Looking forward to see what you have built.
For sure. See you guys soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.